Hi there, my name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And hello, my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James, and you have come to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. I'm handling the chat tonight, so please do chat with us. I'll pass it on to Beth, and she'll talk directly to you if you're here live in person.
So tonight I'm going to talk about something that is like, oh my God, an epidemic in our world. And the topic is, do we avoid, deny, procrastinate, or escape? And we could also talk about postponing. I mean, there's a lot of other flavors of that, but you get the idea. And what happens when we do? So this is a program where we need to look at ourselves, because I think most of us do these things. Maybe we do all of them. Maybe we have a few specialties. And the consequences are pretty intense.
I'd say so, speaking as one who has touched all those bases.
Okay, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about the obvious. We avoid. We avoid looking at things. We avoid doing things. And why do we avoid that?
Indeed, why?
Well, we avoid because we think that it's going to be painful for us to do it. Like, I would avoid going to the dentist if I could, because it hurts. And so at least for me, it does. So I try to avoid going to the dentist, but I know that if I leave it longer, it's going to hurt worse. But that doesn't mean I don't want to avoid it or that I don't find ways of avoiding. So people, we avoid having an important conversation that's going to make somebody uncomfortable. Maybe us, maybe the other person, maybe the outcome is going to be unpleasant. All those all those good things. So we know what avoid means. It's like, oh, there's George coming down the street. I know that I need to talk to him. Oh, goody! I can slip into the local coffee shop, and he'll never know that I'm there.
Unless he comes in there too.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. Then what am I going to do? Go into the ladies' room? Well, if I'm going into the ladies' room, see, George can't go in there. So anyway, we have
here's Elizabeth, who says hello and sends a heart of love. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth. I'm sure you avoid, procrastinate, escape, or deny at times. I'm saying I do all of them. So now let's take a look. I'm going through these very quickly. Just, we know what procrastinate means, don't we? You know, we were, most of us probably were students in school, and we had an assignment to turn in on a certain day, but we kept procrastinating until it was the last minute. No, not everybody does every one of these things, but I certainly did. Now, why did I procrastinate? You know, I really don't know why I procrastinated. It just seemed overwhelming, and somehow I didn't want to face whatever discomfort I was going to face, because, you see, that's the theme that we're seeing in this. Whatever the way that we do this, whether we're denying or procrastinating or avoiding or escaping, which I'm going to get to in a minute, there's always something that we don't want to feel or we don't want to do, or we don't want to admit, or we don't want to pay for.
Good point. Todd is here, and he says, hi, Beth and James, and sends a heart of love and caring and a big smile.
Very good. So, yeah. So what happens? Now, when I say we don't want to pay for, I'm going to use global warming as an example. So we have collectively avoided dealing with global warming. Now, there were always some people who had the nerve to point out that we were doing things, burning fossil fuel or methane, whatever it was that was causing the global warming and that there was going to be hell to pay at some point. But most people avoided the topic. Now, how did they do that? They denied that it existed. What? Oh, it's only weather. Oh, we're going to get to this in a minute now. Or we listened to people, deliberately listened to people who would convince us of what we wanted to believe, right? Like, this is just normal, right? Very normal.
It's advantageous to deny it because it might cut into our profits if we have to do changes in our technology.
Exactly. But that we also, as consumers and as citizens, would actually have to vote for people who wanted to deal with the global warming. And we didn't want to do that because we didn't want to. You know, it's very easy to blame the politicians. But see, this is one of the weaknesses of democracy, right? People have to get elected. And if you tell people what they don't want to hear, they're not going to vote for you. So that's one of the big problems in democracy. We can have a collective, I don't want to know this, and so we don't want to support the people who are bringing this to our attention. Or if you're smoking and somebody points out to you that smoking causes cancer. Oh, I don't know. Not if you use menthol. Menthol cigarettes don't cause cancer. Or if you this or you that. People didn't want to hear that. Well, you know, after a while, you know. I remember a couple where the husband was smoking in the house, and we kept talking about secondhand smoke. The wife got cancer.
Wow.
Right? But she was not in denial, but she was in avoidance. Because her avoidance was, she didn't say to him, if you don't smoke outside, I'm leaving you. He would stand in the door. Like that was going to make a difference. Or, you know, other ways that he tried to not have to deal with, I mean, God forbid he should stop smoking.
Oh, Karen's here, and she says, hi, Beth and James, and sends hearts of love, including friendship love. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. So I'm asking people to look tonight at whether we avoid, deny, procrastinate, or escape, or do all of them, and what happens when we do. So I'm giving some examples. And
what happens when we do those things?
Well, the result is disastrous. Like I just explained about this woman, she avoided confronting her husband, so she didn't have the pain of that, but she had years of pain with cancer. So, you know, you can't avoid the pain, but I'm going to tell you how you can avoid the pain. Are you all listening? All ears? Supposing you're drinking, you're ruining your liver, you're smoking.
You're ruining your lungs.
Right. I think.
By the way, Todd's here and says all of the above.
Exactly. Me too, Todd. This is the Me Too movement. So, supposing, you know, it doesn't show up right away. Yeah, you're coughing, your throat hurts, but, you know, you don't have cancer yet, or you're eating sugar and you don't get cancer yet. See, the way to avoid that is to die first.
Oh, my God.
Supposing you're not going to get cancer till you're 40 years old. So go out, stand in front of a truck, and get hit. And then you won't have to face the consequences. It's an option.
I'd rather make the change.
I don't know. When I look around at the human behavior, I don't think, I would rather make the change. I mean, look, we're back into, what was the other one that I mentioned? Deny, escape. Oh, yeah. I want to talk about.
Very well.
Yes, me too. I want to talk about escape for a minute.
Sure.
Escape is when you're not even there. You don't see what you're doing. There are no consequences because you're not there, because you're busy with something else. You're escaping into your fantasy book or your computer game, and you're not looking at what's real at that moment because your mind, you've amputated your mind, you've separated it from reality. You've separated it from you. Put it out there someplace that you don't have to look at what is going on. Escape. I love it. There are so many ways to escape. One way we can escape, in addition to what I've already mentioned, is we can focus on somebody else. I'm escaping into worrying about my children. And what are they doing? Are they taking drugs? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Are they studying? And I'm not even noticing that I'm polluted and I'm drinking myself. It's like, I'm escaping, right? There's another way to escape that we all love. I mean, listen, this family is spirituality. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Oh, I'm just like in an altered state.
yeah. I'm above it all.
Above, until I clunk. So you've gotten an idea, and the results are always disastrous. Now, supposing you have a boss, a really rotten boss, and you've got to confront them and you're avoiding because you want to avoid that confrontation. Well, as I said, you could die, but the boss could die. Or the boss could get fired. Or you could get fired, and then you never have to confront that boss. So why don't we just avoid a little longer and procrastinate in the hopes that the problem will go away? Now, one of the things that happens to us is, let's say the boss is fired or goes away, or you get fired, or one of you dies. What we still have to recognize is that when we are procrastinating, we are stressed. We feel it. We know we're not
Perpetuating the agony.
We are. We know we're not taking care of business. And oh yes, I think I saw some termites. Oh, nah, that wasn't termites. Those were fairies with little blue wings. And so I don't have to worry about that because there's nothing wrong. But inside, aside from the fact that the house is going to rot because of the termites if you keep ignoring it, the way you feel about yourself sucks.
Something's gnawing at you inside.
That's
like termites.
That's a very good way to say. You know deep inside that you're procrastinating, you're avoiding, you're denying, you're escaping, you're in trouble. And that one of these days, the beam is going to fall on your head. Or on your dog's head, or on your wife's head, or the person who's supposed to come and buy your house walks into it and the fence collapses. So anyway, you're always in a state of stress because what's going to happen? Because you know, don't you? I mean, you have to be pretty far gone to not know most of the things that you're avoiding, procrastinating about, denying, and all of that. So here we go. We have global warming. And every year we're noticing it's getting a little hotter. Oh, yeah. Sea levels are rising. The Arctic is melting. But it's just weather. More freak storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, droughts, all the above. Okay. So what do we do about it? deny, ignore. See, what happens is when we start denying and ignoring frequently, the way we cope with it is to deny and ignore. And when that doesn't work, guess what? We blame. Now, we take a case like Florida that's having so many impacts from global warming with a governor that denies that it exists. And so what happens? Insurance rates are going up. Well, I wonder why insurance rates are going up. Because of one natural catastrophe after another, right? I mean, and it's not just Florida, obviously. We all have natural catastrophes. They're not natural. They're unnatural natural catastrophes. Okay, so we would maybe normally have wildfires, but not like we have now. So now we blame the insurance company. The insurance company is raising my rates. Now, I'm not saying that the insurance companies aren't raising your rates, and I don't know whether the insurance company is raising your rates in a way that is commensurate with all the money it has to put out. But I do know that to some degree, they're raising the rates because they're putting out the money, not just because they're gouging. And we have got to face that, but instead it's like, they're raising our rates.
The same with your physical health. As it gets worse and worse, your insurance gets more and more expensive.
That's so true. That's so true. And you need more and more. Now, I'm not saying that everything can be controlled, but there's a lot of things that we do to our bodies that cause them to get sicker, and then we do need more medical. Or we leave things, or we're taking drugs. Oh my God, we're taking drugs, we're drinking alcohol, we're smoking cigarettes, we're eating processed food, lots of sugar, and we're sick. And it's like, oh, the damn insurance companies, they're, or the hospital, or the doctor couldn't. Okay, so I'm not saying that we don't have to hold accountable the people who are accountable, but hey, what about us? No, I hear very little. Occasionally you hear somebody saying, oh my God, I really shouldn't have eaten those Twinkies. The Oreos were okay, but I should not. And we're scared. We're scared because we don't know what to do. And what do our political leaders do? Try to avoid the topics that are going to make us angry and uncomfortable and not elect them.
Right. Kick the can down the road. Let somebody else take care of it.
Well, how far can you kick the can? So more denial, more blame, more avoidance, and the stupidity of some of our political leaders who are saying to this day, presidential candidate who says global warming is a hoax. I mean, they're certainly not going to help. And obviously the problem cannot be us. Can't be the burning of fossil, because obviously that's going to make you unpopular in a state where people are working in the fossil fuel industry. Well, we want to make sure we have those votes. Those votes are way more important than what we're doing to the planet ourselves and how we're destroying ourselves. So you see what I'm saying? Do we avoid, deny, procrastinate, or escape? Let's go off into dancing. I mean, I'm not against dancing, but put on the radio, put on some loud music, and dance the night away, smoking. I don't know what they call it now. Weed, pot, whatever they call it, whatever the slang is.
Those are still words that use.
Okay.
Work for that.
James, you're too old to know. Anyway, marijuana or anything else that we're taking to escape. And we have so many famous people who ruined their lives with drugs and alcohol. And we know it. So yes, we blame or we continue denying or we continue avoiding to pay the price of consciousness. We don't want to pay the price of consciousness. Because the price of consciousness is discomfort, embarrassment, pain, fear, ridicule. There's lots of prices to pay if we are conscious and we bring our awareness to other people. Don't we see what we are doing? Oh no, you will not win a popularity contest with that. Often the price of consciousness is to be pushed away.
What about that phrase, know the truth and the truth will set you free? So if you're more conscious, even if other people react, aren't you set more free?
Absolutely. I agree with you totally. But how many people are choosing that kind of freedom over denial, over avoidance, over procrastination, over all of it? How many people are actually doing that? How many of us do that in our personal lives? How many of us do this in our political lives? There are things, for instance, let's say I don't like X party, political party, and they're pointing out something that embarrasses my political party. What do you think I'm going to do? Deny.
Absolutely.
Avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Try to pretend.
Yeah.
Try to deflect. See, let's escape this and have us think about something else. So it doesn't matter who you are, which party you're working with, if any. You don't want to lose, there are things you're not going to look at. Things you don't want to admit, things you don't want to deal with. We just saw a film called One Love.
Yes.
Okay.
One Love.
It was about
Bob
Marley, who was a very, very famous reggae singer, songwriter from Jamaica, who really made reggae a worldwide phenomenon, and also had an ethic of talking about oneness and so on. And he brought a lot of awareness to his religion, the Rastafarians. But now this is what you see. I don't know if it's true or not. He had cancer in a part of his body, a skin cancer, a very serious one, melanoma. And they said, cut it off. You have to cut off your toe, in the hopes that if you do that, you will contain it. It's kind of like when you have breast cancer. This is the treatment that they had at the time. I don't know if they have better treatments today. I certainly hope so. But, you cut out that which is cancerous and live with the consequences of that. Well, evidently, the story goes, he refused to do that, and a few years later he was dead.
At the age of 36.
At the age of 36. And, I understand he tried various treatments, but he didn't try that. Why? He was trying to avoid losing the toe, and instead he lost his life. Think about that. I want to avoid losing my good times. I want to avoid losing my complacency.
I want to not look bad to others.
I want to avoid looking bad to others. Irritating people, my parents, losing my inheritance. Making less money, having to pay to change our economy to combat climate change. I want to avoid that. And we're losing our planet. So if you enjoyed this program or you think it's true, even if you didn't enjoy it, don't avoid it. Give it a like or a love on Facebook. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Share it with other people who don't want to hear it.
Right.
And it's not just about climate change. I mean, this is an epidemic in our world of avoidance and denial and so on. And leave a comment after the show. You know, as soon as I see it, I will respond. And follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We live stream this program every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And we take on what is important that we need to look at. People maybe want to avoid this program. Don't. Join us. Let's have the courage together to face reality and dance with it. Face the music and dance.
So that things don't get worse.
So that things that don't get worse. And look at yourself and think about all the ways that you do this and what you are losing as a result. And maybe together we can make the commitment to cut it out and to get with consciousness. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, glad to have you with us. Bye-bye for now.